Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you for being here today. Well, guys, it's Tuesday and it's still raining. It's actually a little while ago it was hailing. So hopefully we'll see the sun sometime today, I hope. But how are you guys doing? Thank you for being here. I hope all is well. I hope these messages are resonating with you and helping you with your own experiences with grief, pain. And perhaps the things that I share here will resonate with you and help you with your own experiences to get through them. So, thank you all for being here. Remember, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a social worker or a therapist. I'm just someone who shares a lot with you about what I've gone through and how I became an overcomer instead of succumbing to the situations, the horrific situations and pain that I experienced. And I want to share those things with you, and perhaps it will help you as well. Paying it forward is a real serious thing with me. It's also one of the vows that I made to God. Speaking of the vows that I made to God, before we get into the topic of discussion, because I want you guys to know enough about me and, a little bit about what I've gone through. Um, I can never break my vows to God. I have like made vows in reference to tithing because that's important. That's one of the vows that is just very important, and I'm sharing this with you guys. When you make a vow to God, and it doesn't have to be like a whole bunch, just something that you can handle, and find a church and tithe to it, whether you belong to that church or not. When you make a vow to God and you show Him that you're serious about what with this path of healing and just getting yourself, lifting yourself up from the grief and pain with His help, and you are sincere about it and you're in the upright, you don't have any malicious intent, God will help you. And I'm living proof of that. I do that consistently. And because I do that, that helped me. A few vows I've made to God that I do carry out. And because of it, and because I take steps in a direction that I want to see my life, God does the rest. And I'm telling you guys, He really does, do the rest. And just little vows, start off with something you can do. One of the places I suggest as well as a priority is therapy, because therapy is an outlet for the pain and everything that you're going through. That's one outlet. And as you continue to show up and do the work with therapy and use that as an outlet, you'll find other outlets for the pain, creative ones to help you to get through any trauma, any loss, and grief, so that you don't get to a place of deep depression and despair. So, guys, with that being said, let's get into this topic of discussion today, which is going to be a little bit different. It's about healing, but it's a little different today. And the topic of discussion is a word of encouragement, because I want to uplift people as much as possible. We are living right now in uncertain times. Uncertainty is everywhere around us. People are concerned about what's happening, to our country, and it's just a lot of uncertainty right now. And people, when they are in uncertain situations, they seem to be lose their balance a little bit. But I'm going to tell you guys, when you lean on God and ask Him to help you, um, it hits differently. And you're doing the work little by little, because nothing um, happens overnight. It hits differently because now you're riding with God and you trust in Him. And you don't have to be religious, like I said. Having a direct connection with God is the key factor. Um, United we stand, divided we fall. That's something to keep in mind, because there's a lot of people right now riding that hate train. You know, they're riding it like no tomorrow. And one of the things that come to mind with, I don't watch a lot of news, I see a little bit of it. It comes across my phone, my screen sometimes, is what keeps standing out in my mind is do unto others as you want done unto you. Do unto others as you want done unto you. If you don't want negativity, toxicity, hell, drama, you know, all of the negative stuff, why would you do it to somebody else? So if you don't want it done to you, you don't want to experience, don't do it to somebody else. And that is the rule of command, the universal law, as well as in God's word. Um, Many folks, like I said, seem to be riding that hate train right now. And it seems like more people may be getting on that train. My listeners, please don't join them, because nothing good is going to come from hate and bitterness. And I know that the uncertainty may make you feel uneasy about everything, but nothing is worth being in a place of toxicity, hate, bitterness, because nothing good will come from those things. Um, Hate, division, and bitterness will never have a positive outcome. It will always go left, no matter what it looks like. It will always go left, because divine intervention will always happen. You know, and I'm not just talking just to be talking. I have experienced irrefutable proof of miracles in my life from God, that it can't come from any other place but God. And he's shown me irrefutable proof of that. And, you know, like I said, united we stand, divided we fall. This is a time for people to come together, work together, no matter your gender, your race, your sexual preference, whatever, none of that matters. Coming together as a people for a specific cause, you know, will work. We need to work together. We need to come together um, to make a difference. Not one person, but people coming together. You know, I thank God every day of my life. I show gratitude, and I thank God that I never allowed the pain and the hurt, as bad as it was, as horrific experiences that I've gone through, I've never allowed it to cause me to be at a place of hate and bitterness, you know. And when I was at that moment, like it felt like being in the water. And you know, you ever see one of those movies where somebody is drowning and they come up a few times, and then you see they come up that last time? Well, that last time, and I'm using like a metaphor, grabbing a hold to God and say, help me, I can't do this alone. And believe me, guys, there's some of these stories that I've been telling you. I haven't even gone into details about how horrific, and going through all these things alone by myself in the natural. And when I say not having a support system, no one, you know, people dying all around me, and people who were there didn't care. Oh, well, you know. And I had to hold on to something. And I took God's hand. I'm ready to do, you know, please, if you help me out of this situation, these circumstances, etc., I am going to make sure I do A, B, C, and D. And slowly, as I started to move forward, God started to help me. There was no coming back from what I experienced. Nobody is coming back from that without the help of God. I promise you, nobody, no human being is coming back from what I was dealing with. And it was God who brought me back from it. Because especially when my dog and mom died, I'm talking about people, death all around you, to the point where it's just too much. And I lost a part of me, the old version of myself. I'm going to say it in this way, using metaphors. When my mom passed away, and April 15th will be the anniversary, 5-year anniversary of her passing, a part of me died. Not a physical death, but the old version of who I used to be that no longer exists. And one of the things, that I reflect on is I had to go through the most and the worst to learn lessons. Like I tell you guys, everything um, on this journey and stuff is about a reason. People, circumstances, situations come into your life for a reason, a season, a lifetime, or a lesson. And for me, these were unlearned lessons that I kept repeating over and over and over again. And they were getting worse and worse until the explosion of everything falling apart and etc. And, I had to build from the ground up everything. And I had to change my mindset, change the way I looked at situations. I had to do therapy. I still do it once a week till this day. And I had to look at and address, as I said yesterday, the elephant in the room. And I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to address it because remember, my mindset wasn't there yet. I grew up in a home where, okay, this happened. We see it happen, but it stays right here. People, when you let that happen, there is no outlet for the pain because the pain is bottled up inside you and you're like one day like a walking time bomb because there's no outlet for it because you're walking around holding it in, and that's not okay at all. Therapy is an outlet for the pain. It's not for people, how I grew up, this for people who have mental issues, whatever. If you get a cut or if you get a bruise or if you have a situation, you go to the doctor and a doctor would tell you what the cure is, etc. The same thing with your mental and physical health. You have to take care of it. Or what happens is if it breaks down, you can't take care of yourself or anything else around you. So this is always a priority. It must be. And I had to change my mindset in a way that I didn't care about what other people thought about it because the so-called other folks was not there when I was down to the ground. In fact, some of them was clapping, yay, kind of thing. And these were people who I thought were my friends, family who had my back. These people didn't have my back. So I had to do the work to see and look